time. You know, they're very sort of like melodramatic, and you have to be careful when you're dealing with a heavy topic like this of it sort of slipping into that world. And it'll be you don't want it to look like a bad soap. Like a soap opera, right?
Yeah.
So one of the ways you can avoid that is by going against the text. Okay, so like, for example, let the audience figure out on their own, you know, how bad things are rather than feeding it to us. I'm not saying you were feeding it to us, because I do feel like you guys were on the right track, and I thought you had some nice moments. Like, I think there was one moment, like, Matt, when you said something along the lines of, it calms me down or something.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say? What's the line?
I say,
why do you take them?
Yeah, why do you take
to relax me, it's the only thing that keeps me calm.
Yeah, so like that line right there is a heavy line, is it not? So that's an example of, there should be alarm bells going off in your head saying, do not deliver this line heavy. Because it's written heavy.
Yeah.
And if you deliver it heavy, it's going to be too much of the same thing. Right. So instead of like saying, you know, I take them because it really calms me down, man. It really calms me down. If you slip into that, that's what I mean. Instead of, I take it because it calms me down. Like, you know, I'm fine. And then the audience watches you go, no, you're not fine. You're lost. You get it?
Yeah.
So you're trying to evoke thought in the audience. You're trying to create something that we get to figure out on our own. And by you playing against the text, it does that. And I think also your character comes off as a really, you know, a caring, warm person, Diego. But I think that your character needs to be a little bit more in his face. Okay. You know, I think that if you don't, you know, if you're the one guy who can kind of pull him out of the mire, and you're just kind of like, you know, you want to pop a pill every now and again, no big deal, it's cool with me, but like, I'm worried about you, love you, man, see you, out. You know, how much do you really care? Okay. Like, I mean, I do think it's nice that you call him out on it, but I think you should, I mean, if this relationship is as close as you're saying, and I think that you're on the right track with it, I think that it's almost like you're trying to hold back from pounding the shit out of him. Okay. Because you care about him. You know, this is a tough love scene where you really want to slap him around, but like, you know that if I push too hard, he's not going to hear any of it. So you say to him that line, you know, I'm not going to say anything else, you know. Mm-hmm. But to me, I feel almost like I know that you're going to say more later if it happens again, because you care.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I was just talking to somebody earlier about like it was another scene where, you know how you have those friends that just kind of like give you sort of like token advice because it's the easy answer, you know, instead of thinking about your well-being and what maybe it's harder to tell you, what is not fun to hear. You're that guy. You're the one that is willing to say it. Okay, so I think that it's hard for you to say these things, but we like you for it. Okay. Is this an audition you had, or was this just a scene that you found?
Just online.
And have you ever done a scene like with a guy who's hooked on these kinds of drugs before?
I did like my second acting class with you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So do you know how these drugs affect you? These specific ones, like opioids or Vicodin, or like, have you read about it? Have you ever learned about it? Like,
this helps me with acting, but no, I don't.
I'm not a method guy, okay? So I'm not going to ask you to take them. But I would say that you want to do some research on it. You know, when he's saying those things to you, like, you know, mood swings and all that stuff, like, you need to know what that feels like. Like, your character, you know, you say it, oh, it gets me high, it kind of makes me, relaxes me. Like, that's one thing, but the other thing about it is that after you take them for a long period of time, you have to take more and more to get that buzz. Mm-hmm. And eventually you're taking so many, you don't even get the buzz. It's just to keep yourself from throwing up because you become addicted, basically.